In today's show, we have guests with us to discuss, is educating women a good thing?
And now, the TNT Talk Show, daring to go where other podcasts fear to tread.
Hello, I'm Tony Fasuda, and I share the stage with my esteemed friend and colleague, Taya Boya. Taya, hello, my friend. I hope you're keeping safe and well. This feels like deja vu.
It does sort of feel like deja vu. And for anybody who is wondering, that's because we've done this before a few minutes ago. Unfortunately, we both forgot to record. So we're back to square one.
Oh no! And what's worse is we had two wonderful guests on who give their wonderful introduction, and guess what? We never got any of it. So guess what? This is take two.
Take two, and I had already managed to get under the skin of one of them, so hopefully she's still a bit teed off. I can bring the energy back in. It is the TNT Talk Show.
Indeed, we will ask them back very shortly. Let's quickly recap. What question were we asking today? It was one which was a bit angsty. Let's be honest. Should we talk about it now? Or should we wait for our
Oh, we
guests?
should wait for our guests. And by
Okay.
the way, since you haven't tried to coerce me to say hello to the audience, I
Oh
will
yes,
now,
I haven't.
on this occasion, say hello, audience. Thank you for joining us. See what happens when you don't try to use force?
Indeed, indeed. Right, let's welcome our two wonderful guests again. If they could reveal themselves, Dawn and Carol, please reveal yourselves.
Well,
Hello once again. Isn't this deja vu? I thought it.
Oh, I think we've been here before.
Right, Dawn, again, we'll start with you. If you give us a quick, super quick introduction as to who you are.
Dawn Griffith of Dawn Griffith Therapy, cognitive hypnotherapist, dealing with anxiety, trauma, and addiction, using NLP and hypnotherapy.
Right, wonderful. And Carol, you again.
Yeah, hi there. Retired, 2 years, a new resident in Spain. So readjusting my whole lifestyle to the Spanish way of life, which is basically just switch off and do things very slowly and enjoying it.
Good. Right, apologies there. Let's recap. Let's
may I ask
recap what we
Carol a
did
question?
discuss.
Have you turned off
Right.
the light or anything?
Who?
Carol,
Carol's got a light or turned off the
have you
light.
turned it off, the light? It seems to
No.
be...
Remember, Carol's in Spain. She's an hour ahead of us anyway, so it may be
right.
getting darker there quicker than here.
Pop
I
a
don't
light on
know.
if you want. Do you
No,
want a
no,
light?
it's fine. It's just that I just thought I noticed the difference. But I don't
Oh
have
yeah,
any
there is a
visual
slight
evidence
difference. Yeah,
because we
slightly
didn't.
darker, but that's fine. Right, Tyre, come on, let's
Right.
recap. This topic of ours is educating women a good thing.
Okay, so I want to test that tonight. I want to test the notion. I was watching a video on YouTube, and a woman said there are lots of women in education, which is a good thing. And that bit at the end, which is a good thing, just really sparked something in me and infuriated me down to my core because it is sloganeering and she didn't back it up with any evidence or anything. She just said it's a good thing and we're just supposed to accept that it's a good thing. But why is it a good thing? And there were about 500 comments, I would say. I can't remember the exact number. And no one was calling her out on it. And this is the sort of thing that I think we need to challenge more as a society. When people say things like this, it's really important going forward, starting now and going forwards, that we challenge these notions and we test them to see if they are sensible or not.
So let me clarify, if I may. You're not actually against women being educated. You're just against the statement that was not assumed as being normal without it being backed up.
That's not accurate.
Oh, okay. Our two guests have gone. What's your views? Like, what are your views, our
But
guests?
Teo's not saying he wonders why women should be educated. It's more about this person saying it's a good thing that women are educated, as if it's a better thing than men being educated. Would that be correct?
No,
No.
no, it's
Okay.
just the assumption that educating women is a good thing. Why is there an assumption? Now, I suppose if, I'm not meant to assist you in arguing against me, but what would I have felt if they had said educating men is a good thing? Now, in all honesty, hand on heart, I can't say, I
I think
can't say,
educating men would be a good thing.
sorry?
I think
That's rather
educating men
harsh.
would be a good thing. I think they should start getting educated.
Yes,
That's
well,
rather
we used to
harsh.
be educated, and then women came into the workspace and into
Oh,
the education space, and then they turned it all into sort of matriarchal thing, and now boys actually fail at school when they used to do quite well. So yeah, it'd be wonderful if boys could be educated, because a lot of men now, what is it? The suicide rate of men is 3 times more that of women, and
yeah.
there's something that connects what we are doing to men in the West, or rather, let us say, in highly feminist societies, there's something we're doing to boys which is causing a great deal of harm. So
I'm
if
actually on your side there, Teo.
Yeah, I don't know if that's an
Yeah,
education thing, though. I don't think that's a
yeah.
thing, education thing. I think it's more of an expectation thing. And I think a lot of boys and men feel there's an expectation that they perform better, and when they can't, I think it puts a lot of stress on them.
hmm,
So I think that I don't know that's a particularly against women being educated. I think that's a separate issue.
no, I was just
Yeah,
going
and
to
I don't
say,
think it's got nothing to do with education. I think men, I think you're right. Suddenly women have risen up and men feel like they've lost. I deal with more men than I deal with women,
Mm.
and they just seem to have lost their way in the world. Like, where do I fit? Where not that they're not educated, they're very well educated, but they've just, and also there's a lot of stuff going on in the world where men feel they can't do anything about. Men like to fix a problem. Men are fixers. They can't fix the problems that are going on now. Well, we have light.
I know, I'm sorry. I just realised it's getting very dark here.
Yeah.
Welcome to Spain. Welcome to Spain. There we are.
hmm, well,
The
I was saying that if someone had said we have to educate men, which is a good thing, or boys, I don't know what she said, women, so okay, men. We
Yeah.
have to educate men, which is a good thing. I wouldn't have been annoyed. So
Yeah.
that's an interesting thing that I've had to look at, and I was able to explain to myself why one annoyed me, but the other would not have annoyed me, and I hope to explain during this discussion why there's a difference, or why I would have felt differently had it been said for men, which is a good thing for men. But I think you'll find that my position is a little bit more nuanced than just a very simple black or white.
Personally, if I may interject, I think it's not an issue with women being in schools, that there are more women in schools than there are men in terms of educators. So they will naturally be slightly less understanding of from a male's point of view. Personally, I don't think that's a problem per se. I think the problem lies in co-education, where you've got mixed classrooms. I don't see the need of having mixed classrooms. I think they should actually go back to segregated classrooms, where you've got boys in one, girls in another, because boys and girls learn differently. They're together. They actually, statistics actually show that they don't learn anywhere near as good as they did when they're segregated. So having only boys in a class and only girls in a class and being taught by their respective genders, so men will teach boys, girls will teach girls, statistically that shows that has a better result on the well-being on both genders when they're growing up, rather than, which is what's happening now, is putting them all mixed together, and predominantly it's the female which is leading the class, and the boys as they're growing up are not relating to a female as much as they would to possibly a male. So there is some evidence to suggest that the co-ed experiment, which has been going on for a number of years now, is the thing that's failing, rather than women teaching boys, etc.
There's one of the best examples of a society that has done very well to educate women is, strangely enough, I was shocked by this, by the way. Strangely enough, is not a Western society. It's not even one of the Asian societies, which you'd expect, because Asian students, female students, seem to be doing very, very well, especially when they are in the West at higher education. To my great surprise, it was Iran.
Iran,
Iran has got the best female outcome for educating women at a high level. Yet, until they enter higher education, they are actually taught segregated and by their own gender. So women train women, men train men.
which is what
For
I
all
was
of
just
that,
saying.
Yeah.
about 65% of their graduates are female.
Wow.
Okay, but you're being taught by women and being taught by men. In this country, I don't know about other countries, there's not enough male teachers and they're not going into the education sector because of the salaries. They're going in more into engineering, into tech, and into finance because that's where you're going to get the salary to support your family or to support yourself in a lifestyle that you desire or believe that you should have. You've been raised to think that you should have. So until we change the pay gap between men and women and make it more
Attractive.
inviting, attractive, inviting for men. 75% of women of the teaching force is women across the board, primary and secondary. Men, that leaves 35%, 25% men. That is not balanced. So you're never going to get men teaching boys and women teaching girls. I mean, I grew up in a girls, I went to a co-ed primary school, then in secondary school, I was in a girls' school, boys' school. It was, and in the last year, we actually went in, but that's when we started changing into a co-ed school. It didn't affect me. I was still in the girls, but
Yes, well,
So,
the thing is this, I taught until recently, and I was struck by the fact that there were very few men because I was a peripatetic teacher. I was a supply teacher, so I was never in one school for very long. I was always moving around, which is one of the things I enjoyed about it. But it was the same thing I was seeing everywhere. And what women don't seem to understand is that really men need Lebensraum, which is a horrible term if you know where it came from. But we need
say that
little
again. I didn't hear that. You
yeah,
didn't. It's very faint. You need to get closer
Lebensraum.
to your mic.
Lebensraum. Have you heard that?
Leidensfile.
Leben, Leben.
Laban.
Yeah.
What is
Lima,
that?
Echo, Bravo, Echo, November, Sraum.
LAB, Laban,
Lebensraum.
Brown.
Sraum, yes.
What does that mean?
Living
SRAU.
space.
Living space.
Yes. And you don't know who said that?
No.
But it's German. Now do you know who said that?
Adolf Hitler.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He need a
Was it?
Lebensraum
Lebensraum, yes.
is essentially a propaganda concept used to justify land and removing people.
Oh, lovely.
But I actually
Wonderful.
use it just to mean breathing space. Elbow room. Elbow. I think it's more
My golly.
rationally
Right.
is more rationally defined as elbow space. And when women surround us, we don't have elbow room. We feel put upon. Now, all this has nothing to do with what we're meant to be discussing. This is Tony's interjections, which, as you've seen now, it's happened to me millions of times, even though there's only been 300 shows or plus. When he interjects, he manages to throw me off my track, and we end up talking about something else. Now we're actually talking about women in education. I'm not talking about women in education. I'm asking a different question. Should society educate women? Is educating women good? Now, let's try to get back on that. Is educating women automatically and instantly a good thing? That's what I want to ask. That's what I want to test.
Yes.
I'd say
Absolutely.
yes. There
Yeah.
doesn't seem to, I can't, because I wouldn't disagree that men, this is supposed to be a democratic society, and that means men and women should be equally educated to the level that they are able to
Reach, yeah.
reach. Yeah, yeah.
Why?
And and
Why?
if we don't
Why?
educate, if we're not educated, we wouldn't be where we are now.
Well,
We
what's
we
important
wouldn't we
about being
wouldn't
where
have
we
the
are
industrial
now?
revolution. We wouldn't have tech. We wouldn't have the science. I mean, wasn't it a woman who, what's her name, Marie Curie was a
Marie Curie,
woman.
yes, yes.
If she penicillin, did she do penicillin?
No,
Didn't she?
no, that
No,
was
that was
that was
Fleming, wasn't it?
Fleming.
Fleming was
Well, she did.
penicillin.
She did radioactivity. She did. In fact, she died from
Right,
it. Poor thing. Yes, she
well,
did
well, she
radioactivity.
should have been educated better. But there you go.
Well, she
But if
didn't
she
know.
had,
To be fair, I
No,
mean, come
nobody
on,
knew
all
then.
nobody
right,
knew.
right.
Goodness.
So there you go. If she hadn't have had education, we wouldn't have things that we've got now. Yeah.
Well, they
Absolutely.
might have found out later. I mean, most likely. I mean, someone that figured it out. But that's not the important thing. I'm not arguing. I'm not going to
It wouldn't
argue
have
the
been,
point.
but it could have still been another woman. Women, we need to learn. Yeah, let's take the basics. Education is from the day we're born to the day we die. We're learning, whether it's formal education or whether it's reading and writing. Well, we need to educate our children. So let's take out going to school. If I'm not educated to read and write, how could I educate my children to read and write? How
Mhm.
could they educate their children to read and write? Where would we be in a society? I mean, I don't have grandchildren, but if every mother didn't learn to read and write, she's got boys and girls, and she can't teach them to read and write. The man's out to work doing the man thing. He's out in the fields, Teo. He's reaping the harvest in. He's bringing it in. He's picking the fruit.
Well, I'll tell you.
He's down the mine. So who's going to teach their children to read and write? How are they going to learn to count and manage whatever tool they've got to, be it Bitcoin, be it silver, be it salt, or be it financial currency? Whatever it is, who's going to teach them to add up and say, right, 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 2 is 4?
Well, what
I had to question that because I'm not too good with my numbers, but
what I like
yeah,
is that
I can't go any further than that.
what I like is that you're skirting the issue, but you don't realize it, and you're making me smile because you're actually just saying what I'm saying, but you haven't realized it yet. You see, you've spoken about, well, what would society be like if we don't educate women?
Well, exactly. But you're saying, is it fair? Should women be educated? Well, yes,
Yes,
we should be
I'm
educated
asking the
so that we
question.
can educate the rest of the following generations. If we're not educated, we can't educate the rest of the following generations. So
You're not
yes,
wrong,
no,
and yet,
I know I'm not wrong.
yes, you're not wrong. No, you think you're not wrong, but I
I
mean,
know I'm not wrong.
Oh,
well, no, you see now it's gone into feelings because it's not no. You have to prove it, and then logically we have to look at it rationally. No,
okay.
you've made a
Give
stick.
us your reasoning
I'm
then,
trying to,
Tyre.
but
Clearly, you're making a
someone just
point
interrupted
here.
me. I was actually getting there, but never
Okay.
mind. So you automatically, you not sorry, not automatically. That's not the word I'm looking for. What is the word I'm looking for? You just not assume. You started off with a notion, but you didn't realize that you had that notion, which is that society had to gain, that the profit is that society gains from women being educated. That's
Okay.
that's your assumption, and actually, I'm not arguing that. Strangely enough,
It's not an assumption.
It's a definite. Did you know, just a statistical point of view, that if every girl on the planet received secondary education, then the global economy would grow by between 15 and 30 trillion, not million or billion,
Wow.
trillion dollars.
then
If every girl, because she would be able to contribute more to the planet.
okay,
And
well, that sounds like a
that's
load of baloney. I don't know where
no,
that
it's
figure
not.
came
That's
from.
come from World Bank research,
Yeah, the
and it's
World Bank is the
recent.
same people who, if we followed them, would all be in penury anyway. So let's not talk about that. So I'm not interested in any of that. What I'm going to ask question when you just said, yeah, we need it will boost the economy and we'll get more technology and we'll be where we are now, having this wonderful Zoom call and all the sort of things and all that. But you're assuming those are good things. Why are you assuming those are good things? What's wrong with a primitive agricultural society where everyone's just happy?
But
would
are
have,
they happy?
well, because they're happy, because they're just making it from day to day, and they don't want to. They're just living their lives. They're happy little people, just you know, the
That's a
family
too
units.
simplistic
Is it
viewpoint of
really?
what
Is it
the.
really?
Yes,
Why
yes.
is it that the people who actually live in those situations, if they are able to look after themselves, that's a big if. If they are able to look after themselves, it's only exposure to what they don't have in comparison to people in cities that makes them uncomfortable. So the assumption that somehow society is benefiting just innately and automatically is not correct. Anyway, it doesn't even form part of my argument. I'm just pointing out that Dawn has this that's the word I'm looking for, instinct. She has this instinct that society benefits from women being educated. And then I'm going to say now what I'm really coming here to say, that actually that is only partially true. It matters to what degree, when, and how women are educated. It's not a be all and end all, it's not just a one off thing. So, my absolute position is this: we have solid evidence from, I believe it's, I'll tell you in a second, I'll tell you in a minute. We have solid evidence that educating women leads inevitably, at least on the data we've got so far, to depopulation. And at the end of the day, and I hate saying that because it's a cliche, but is this cliche? Yes. I, in the final analysis, another cliche: a society that doesn't replace itself isn't progressive, it's dying. And when we see that everywhere that women are being highly educated, the replacement rate, which is supposed to be 2.1, I don't know if you know this figure, 2.1 children per woman for a society, 2.1 children, yes, per woman for society to replace its population, is not being met where women have been highly educated. And what is of interest is that even in Iran, which is a patriarchal society, and you have to bear in mind that it's not unlike the West, a hypergamous society where women are largely in control or have at least a lot of political control. The amazing thing is that in Iran, in this patriarchal society, their replacement rate is 1.8.
So that's not
Exactly
enough
as
either.
that's not
So
enough
that's not enough.
either. So
Yeah, you
there's
need
63,
2.1.
there's 63%, 63, 65% women graduates is not helping them either at the end of the day.
Right. Can I just jump in there a minute? So your whole argument then is that because women are being educated, that means that there's like a motherhood penalty because women are choosing education instead of having children, and therefore the population declines. We've already got a lot of people on this planet. So if there is a slight readjustment of a population while women are going through education, does that really matter? Because we've already struggled with the amount of mouths to feed on the planet as it is. So if the populations actually drop, which the trend is actually that is what's happening, by 2070 the population will have peaked and then it will start to do a rapid decline because of this, not just this, but many other factors as well. Is that such a bad thing?
Well, from the point of view of some of us on my side of the argument, no, it's not. Because it's actually what we're working towards by not participating. Now, I'm talking about young men. I mean, I'm past it. I'm an old man. Foot in the grave sort of thing. So it doesn't really matter.
What do
Doesn't
you mean
really
not
matter.
participating? Could you elaborate for our listeners and our guests?
Okay. I don't know if either of you have heard of MGTOW. MGTOW.
MGTOW.
Carol?
MGTOW.
No? The
No.
MGTOW
You
are
need to
men.
shout a bit louder, Tyre, because you've gone quiet again.
I've gone quiet again. How come? Why?
Go on.
Ever since Tony lent me this microphone, sabotage.
You need to
Can you
get
hear me
closer,
now?
that's
Can you
all.
hear me
Yeah,
now?
yeah, now, yeah.
Okay. Dawn, can you hear me all right? Sorry, Carol,
I
I
can
beg your
hear.
pardon.
Yeah, I can hear fine.
Okay, fine. MGTOW is men going their own way. These are men who have looked at society as it's constituted today and have decided that they're not getting any benefit out of maximum input into it. So they are deliberately and intentionally, which I think is the same thing, they are intentionally not participating to their fullest on purpose. So they're not going to reproduce. They're not going to pursue women except for bedroom fun, if you like. They're not going to participate in the workplace. A lot of MGTOW work only enough to earn money to sustain themselves and buy their computer games or whatever they want to do. And it's all on purpose. It's not an accident. And the idea of the MGTOW is to let society burn itself out. When society has burnt itself out, the so-called good men, the providers and all that, they'll be, well, the beaters anyway, they'll be gone. And who will be left are the strong men who won't tolerate women being educated or anything. Therefore, it's actually a self-defeating process from the point of view of women who think that the situation now is sustainable. I'm one of the MGTOW who are warning and saying, hold on, be careful of what you want because you might get it. A good society is a healthy society. Not what Tony said, that we should burn ourselves out and let ourselves be destroyed through depopulation. That doesn't seem to me to be very good. We can approach the same thing, not depopulation, but population control, by being mindful of how we have children. And that's what I propose. So actually, if you had to ask me, is educating women a good thing? I would say, with caveats, yes. But with caveats.
What's the caveats?
Can I jump in there? This
Yes,
all seems,
please.
this all seems to rely on the fact that some women have decided they don't want to have kids early. They just want to have a good education, learn, contribute to society in that way. But it seems that the part of what Teo is saying is that women are birth creatures and our job is to just have babies, to make sure the population stays steady.
Yes.
That's awful.
No.
Yeah, it is.
No.
Yeah.
It is.
Excuse me, I'm talking as a woman. You're not a woman.
No,
I'm a woman.
I'm not a
And I would
woman.
not be happy to be thinking that I am just a birth cow. I've got far more to contribute than just having babies. I've got 3 actually. I've had 3, but I've also contributed to society, and that was my choice.
Yes,
but I think it's pretty poor to say you shouldn't educate women, or we should consider not educating women because they should be used for production to keep the birth rate fluid.
Exactly.
That's
so
poor.
no one called anybody a cow. I mean, no man here called anyone a cow. And I
Forget
didn't
the
see
cow
anybody
comment
as a
there.
birth cow.
Forget the
Okay.
cow comment. But
And
a birth creature, birth woman. My job is to produce kids.
yes, and
That's
do
really
you know
poor.
why? Do you know why it is?
No, I
Because
don't
it's
know why.
biology, not because we said it ought to be. No
But it's
man
also
created
a
that.
matter of choice.
Well, it's no option for a man, because if men could birth children, we seriously wouldn't need women. Honestly, let's be honest.
It's also
Now-
it goes the other way. There's enough sperm in banks for you lot to just disappear. And we
Yeah.
can
Yeah,
manage
but
without you for the rest of our
when
life.
we've gone, how do you replace without birthing more men?
No,
Anyway,
but look.
Oh, that's a good
Tanya.
point. That's a very good
Hold on,
point.
Tony. Don't get involved. Let me and the ladies tackle this. Now, if that's the case, could you actually, because this is part of my point, by the way, could women actually sustain civilization on their own? And let's
Well,
be honest,
Yeah.
no,
Yes.
they
Yes, we
couldn't.
could.
We've,
Yeah.
we've,
we
we've
could.
done it. We've tried it, and it's
When did
failed.
we try it?
We've tried it in real life. We've tried Survivor, the Survivor series, when all women.
It's not true
Come
life,
on,
darling.
that's
That's
for
that's
telly.
That's not
silly.
real life.
That's
Yeah.
the
That's not
silly.
real. That's for
Number
TV.
2, the woman who went out, the very rich woman who went out, made an island for women only. How long did it last? I don't think it lasted a year. Not a year.
That's the television. That's not real
No,
life.
that was in television. Not the woman with the island. I can check out the data.
Hold on. So you're saying, just clarify for our listeners as well.
Mhm.
You're saying that somebody set up an island
Yes,
only for women.
yes.
Well, how is that sustainable anyway? If an island was only for men, that wouldn't be sustainable either.
Well, there are there are women not on the island who could always keep joining in, couldn't they? They don't have to birth. It wasn't an island where you need to regenerate naturally. It was just a space for women and only women. And they were going to look after themselves. They were going to do all their own farming, all their own whatever. Everything they needed was going to be self-sustained. And it failed. And I'm going to find the name and everything for you.
Well, that really
And
depends on
whilst
who
I'm
they
doing
put on
that,
the island. It's just,
whilst
you
I'm doing
know,
that, let me also provide you, Tony, and you can share this with our guests. I think I already have.
what's this? The World Bank thing you've just sent
Yes,
me.
the World Bank.
You've
This
sent
is
me two. You got the World Bank and the data from what? Fertility rates.
yes. Okay.
And you want me to share that with our guests?
Just to prove what I'm saying, that those two links show the link between women being educated and the fall in fertility rates. And then
I,
not
do, I
anybody
don't I
saying,
don't disagree with you on that. I think that's evident because a lot of women, I mean, I was one of five kids,
Mhm.
and lots of women, their job was to have babies. Many years back, women just they didn't have the chance for education so much, and they just had babies, and they had lots of them. Well, that was, and now women, fortunately, are much more able to achieve a good education and use their minds and work in different ways. And some of them still choose to have babies and some don't. But I have more of a problem with the idea that there is a society, or we move into a society where a choice is made on whether women should be educated, because we need to remember their primary role is to maintain the birth rate. That's really poor.
okay, now if it was an absolute position of mine, you'd be right. But I've been thinking about this very carefully, and you're wrong. It's not an absolute position. Every system has a cost. Now, what is the cost of just running free and pretending that it's okay for us to have non-replaceable numbers in our population? Do you know what happens when a larger group shows up? Look at me very carefully. This country isn't naturally mine. I'm not where I'm naturally born. I'm not speaking my mother's tongue. I'm not speaking my father's tongue. I'm speaking a foreign tongue. Do you know why? Because historically, people who rolled up to our shores were able to dominate us and to take everything from us and to suppress us. And they did that because we were too busy not being serious in a serious world. And if we keep going the way we're going now, I suggest you tell your children to start teaching your grandchildren to learn Mandarin, because eventually they're going to have to speak Mandarin, whether they like it or not. Now, is that where we want to go? Or do we want to try and be serious and understand that this is a world with a limited number of resources, and everyone wants those resources? There's competition.
But if you're increasing the populations, you're making that finite resource even more scarce. Surely, if you allow this to go its natural course, the populations will eventually decrease beyond 2070, and the resources which are finite will be more available for the majority, for the people that are left. So you seem to narrow this down as if to say population numbers, which are a concern in a lot of the Western culture. It's not because the population that's dropping, there's not enough people to help the older generation. We know that. Hence why a lot of Western countries are more amenable to allow foreign people in, because it makes up the numbers to look after the population that the native people are not able to do. But you can't now blame it just purely on education of women.
No,
That
we can't,
this
because we have the data for it. Anyway, what is my
That's not the only
solution?
reason, though.
It's not
There's
the only
fertility
reason.
issues and also cost of living. That's the bigger problem, not because of women being educated. It's because the cost of living is going up. There's not enough property, affordable property, for the majority of people, so they can get them at reasonable prices. So then they can one member can choose to be at home and have children. The problem now is more and more couples can't afford their house on their own, so they have to go to work, both of them. And so in order for the woman to get a high paid job, she's got to get highly educated,
So
and
when
that's
there
how
are
it is.
fewer
So
women, when there were fewer women, educated women in the workforce, when there were fewer of them, a man's salary was enough to run the household. That's a fact. So
yeah.
what you say? Well, yeah. So exactly. So please, anyway,
So
it's
what?
not.
So what you're saying then, that because women have gone to work, the
Yes.
prices have gone up because of that reason?
No, yes, of course, because you've got that was the whole point of the what was this man's name now? Was it Ford? Who was the motor car guy in America?
Ford.
Ford. That was the whole point of Ford and the Rothschilds. That was what they did. That was the whole point of sponsoring feminism, was to double the consumer base, and the American government lent a hand because it wanted to double the tax base. I thought everybody knew. It's not even an argument. Yes,
So you're saying women have gone to work because it was set up, feminism was set up by Ford and the
Ford, Rothschild,
Rothschilds
that's okay. You
in
can call
order
them
to get a
Rothschilds.
double lot of income
Well,
for
actually, not
tax.
double. Yeah, the government wanted double tax, but the Rothschilds and Henry Ford wanted to pay less. So he understood that he was looking at the women and going, "Why aren't these people actually working? I wouldn't have to pay these men as much. I could lower my what is it when you pay people things? I could lower
Wage.
my what?
The wage.
Yeah,
The
thank you.
salary
Salary.
outgoing,
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
isn't it?
exactly. I could lower that and boost my profits. That was the whole idea. Now,
Or by getting women to work.
yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that there is an element of truth in that, to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
honest.
okay. So now,
So,
so what is my solution? So, first of all, if I'm saying educate, because I said, by the way, I don't know if you caught it, educating women is a good thing. I did say
Yeah.
that.
He
Okay.
did say
okay.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
All
earlier
right.
on. Yeah.
So educating women is a good thing, but the way we're doing it now is wrong. All right, Tyler, what's your solution?
Okay. You took the words out of my mouth.
From 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 birth, from kindergarten to secondary school, women need, not just women, men and men, boys and girls, need a solid education, solid maths, solid language, solid science, solid food, health, nutrition, all that sort of thing, because that is what builds a healthy and hopefully happy society. Now,
The but coming, isn't there?
yes, after that, an automatic entry into university will not be granted in my system to women,
Oh no,
What?
I'm not having
because
that.
because at the time the woman is most fertile biologically,
Oh
you are
God.
distracting her with a prospect of going to university to compete in fields where actually on a societal level, not on an individual level, on a societal level, it is less of a utility than actually being a good mother to children and to helping birth the next generation. That,
So
from a
who,
societal point of view, is far more important, because if
but
society is dead, it's dead. It doesn't matter what you do, it's gone.
that for me, there is no society is important, of course it is, but for me, there's absolutely no way that you should be able to dictate to a woman or a man for that matter what they will do with their life, whether they will be, as you described it, a fertile producing female or a fertile producing man. I mean, it's up to the female herself or the partner she chooses, or if she decides to have a child without a partner, it's completely up to that person to decide whether they want to have kids. Just because they're fruitful and it's childbearing time, absolutely no. I think a society, and unfortunately, there are these societies, as we know, thankfully not in the United Kingdom, most of the United Kingdom anyway, but there are some sects of society where the woman is subjugated and she is told who she will marry, what she will do, when she will give birth, the whole thing. And I'm
I'm not
absolutely
asking.
delighted. I haven't finished. I am absolutely delighted that I am not in that field. I chose when to have kids if I wanted to have kids, and I think that's appropriate.
I'm not saying who she should marry, who she shouldn't marry. I'm saying from the age of 18, which is school leaving age, which I'm assuming people finish school at 18. From the age of 18 to the age of 30, which are the most productive, sexually fertile years. Is it sexually? The most fertile years for a woman. There is no
If they
point.
want to be,
Sorry?
if the woman wants to be fertile,
But
It's up to them. If you want to go to
I-
uni,
100%.
if you want
I'm
to go
just
to,
going to interrupt there because exactly following on from what Carol said, there are plenty of women that are infertile. I went to school with a young
then
girl,
they
with
go
a
straight
girl
away.
who at 13, 14, her parents had they just didn't care about her education. She was a really, really bright girl. And then she was very, very ill. And she was told she couldn't have children. She was totally infertile.
No problem at all. The logic.
Oh,
is
so
what I said.
she now can go to university, can she?
Of course, you can have
But
children.
where can you choose? My mother had 2 children, and she should never have been a mother.
No, I'm sorry.
That she should never have been a mother. My mother, because she was in a time where when you fell pregnant, you couldn't do anything about it. There wasn't the pill, there wasn't the choices. But she had 2 children because she was married. She didn't have a choice. She worked. Trust me, that woman worked, and her job was a career. She was she worked with horses, show jumpers, and she had a career. Her job gave us a roof over our head, but she wasn't a mother. She wasn't with us. She didn't nurture us. She didn't look after us. She loved us. I'm not saying she didn't love us, but if she'd had a choice, if she'd really been in a society 20 years on, she would never have had children, and she would have led the life that she really wanted and had the career, which would have been a very fulfilling career. Not that it wasn't, but yeah.
I think the shame with what you've just said, Lovely, is that I don't think that resonates with her. I don't think that's important. The thing that she wasn't a good mother, at least she had kids. Because this whole subject seems to be more around a woman should have children. Not a woman should have children because she wants them and she wants to have babies and she loves them and she wants to be a great mum. It's just about, oh, you're 18, you got eggs, it's time you got pregnant.
Yeah, and not everybody. My
Horrific.
daughter definitely does not want children.
Horrific.
Not because she wants to go to. I mean, she does go to work. She works. She pays her way. She pays her rent. She lives on her own. But that's her choice. She does not want children.
No,
We
that's
live in
fine.
a
You don't
we
want
live in a
children, you don't
society
have to
which
have
has
children.
chosen to
Sorry?
give its population choice. There are
Yes.
some societies out there that don't. But thankfully, we're in a society that does give us choice. And if it means that there's a risk that the population will decline because people are choosing not to have kids, the government can't impose it. We've chosen that path. They'll try everything to try and encourage people to have kids, which is what's happening across the Western world.
Yes.
But encouragement, not forcing. And your rules, Tayo, seem to be more forcing. It sounds like you've taken lessons from, what's his name? Kim Jong-un in North Korea.
Yes,
I think we're not in that society,
No, hopefully
thankfully.
we're not there. But unfortunately, Kim Jong-un, I believe his population, despite famine and all this, is actually growing. So who's going to end up being a serf to whom eventually?
It isn't going to matter.
Yeah, well, you're not going to be here. I'm not going to be here, but it's going to matter to our children, our grandchildren.
We'll have robots then, so it won't be an issue.
Okay, so
It won't be an issue.
So back in the real world, I think it's going
No,
to
it's not back in the real world. It's
Human
now.
intelligence.
It won't be an issue because all the mundane tasks will be done by robots and AI, and the few humans that will be left will be able to live their life how they choose.
Okay,
So-
I'm not going to get into the weeds with that. That's you say, I say, he says, she says. I'm not interested in that. I'm not going to be involved in that. There'll be robots and everybody will be flying around in their sky cars.
Oh well, I think that's another podcast, don't you?
We've done that one already.
Oh, I've missed that one. Missed that. What about you, Kel? Did you miss it?
I missed it too.
Yeah. Sorry.
So if you don't want to have children, that's not a problem. Everybody get.
No, I'm going to
Why?
stop.
Why is
That's
it a
not
problem?
the
Why is it a
problem.
problem?
I
It's
said
not
that's not
the
the problem.
problem.
I said
Oh, not your problem. Sorry, we couldn't hear
not
I
you
a
thought you
very
said
problem. If
well.
you
it's
don't
another
want,
problem. I do apologize.
Yeah,
no, if
yeah.
you don't want to have children, it's not a problem. If you don't want to have children, it just means you don't get to go to university until you're 30. That's all. But when you're
So
30, you get to go to university. Everybody, all women will be entitled to go to higher education once they're 30. Between 18 and 30, those 12 years, no, you don't go to
Do you
university.
know what? I think he's got a point, because how many people, men and women, change their careers between 30 and 35? Honestly, I could look it up, but I'm not going to. But so many people go into a career because they feel they need to. It's going to pay them money. Maybe more men would go into teaching if this was a choice.
Hmm.
Well, there
So,
we
do you
go.
want to stop men and women going to uni until they're 30?
No, because
No, just the
biology.
Just the
men, just the
women.
women, just the
Because
women.
Just the
biology.
women.
Just
Wouldn't it be fairer just to say both of them? So men
How
have
would that be
men,
sensible when you're competing against other countries where everyone's going to uni and you want your men to not go to uni, you want them to go
no,
to
no, no.
university.
wouldn't it be good to put them
To do
all
what?
in the army
To
then?
do what?
The army?
For 12 years.
Well, for
No,
however long it takes.
Well,
yeah.
it's 18 to 30, they're going to be
Okay.
like women,
In
they're
the
going to be in
army.
the army. Doing what
Men and
exactly?
women in the army. So
Yeah,
they don't
What
go
are
to
women doing in the
education.
army?
No, because we can't go in the army because
we're going to be
we're
having
just having the
kids.
babies. But
And
We're
when you've
busy.
got,
We're
by
busy
the
having
way,
the babies.
when
But
you
I
say
do
have two,
think men and women, I think girls and boys, instead of going to university, should go in the army, not to fight, but to learn how to live and be
they can't
sustainable.
even
Because
do that now. I don't know who's talking because I'm not watching the screen. I don't know who that was,
That
but
was
they
Dawn.
can't even do it now because they revele. Is it called revele in the morning?
Yes.
Revele, and they don't want to show up. They don't want to get out of bed. They don't want to do this, and there's not much you can do about it. You can yell and shout and scream, and then they just burst into tears. They don't have the spine. They don't have the spine. You're not bringing. This is
yeah,
a question of discipline and everything. They weren't brought up with any discipline, and that's
but
what
if
you
they
want to
went in
do.
the army, suddenly you're given discipline, aren't
You
you?
are given
No, you
discipline.
try
And
to,
and
but it doesn't
boundaries,
happen.
discipline and
No,
boundaries.
they would get
And
them. They would get them, Ty. You'd
yeah,
have to. I mean, you just have
They're
to.
not getting them, Tony, in real life.
So
Okay.
they're
you're
not getting
saying
them
that people are
now.
choosing
Yeah.
to go
No.
in the army, choosing to go into the army now, and they're not.
They're finding
They're
out
not.
that is actually quite hard, and then they're just dropping out like flies, or they're just not doing it.
They can't drop out.
They
Well,
You've
can
they
got
have
to
drop
to
do
out.
mandatory 6 weeks. You can't drop
Yeah.
out.
but
After that, though, you can leave.
Yeah.
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 and they are.
But even
That is why
6 weeks is better than nothing.
You have a
Yeah,
recruitment
I
age.
think.
At 6 weeks, the American Army believes that you're ready to learn how to be in the Army after 6 months of training. So the first 6 months of training, they're just getting you ready to start learning how to be in the
Well,
Army.
that's right, because they break you down and then they build you
Right.
up
So
again.
6 weeks is nothing. You're not achieving anything, and that's why the British Army has got a recruitment problem. British Armed Forces, I should say. Back to what I was saying. We educate women right now. We're educating women at the exact moment biology is least forgiving, and then we're acting all surprised by the outcome. That is a
I don't think you're right there. And this is just I'm just throwing this out there. I have no facts for this by any stretch. I just have a belief that if there was another World War III and or another World War II, let's not put it out there, and suddenly loads and loads of people are killed, men and women were killed, we're bombed. Suddenly we would start to, because you haven't just got a male and female issue now, you've got a gender issue. You've got a lot of people changing their genders.
Yeah.
So, but suddenly if the population needs to expand, at the end of the day, we are animals. We will behave like animals and we will procreate in whatever way to actually, right this minute, we don't need to. We need to cut a lot of crap out right this minute. So that's by the way that we are behaving. But if we had to procreate naturally, we would just come together. We would change. Our biology would change. Everything would change. Just the same as, grass. Grass will grow if it's not been walked on. If you start walking the same path every day, the grass literally moves out of the way because it's going to be killed. It says, that's it, I don't need to grow there. But if you stop walking on that path, the grass will grow back. And people are exactly the same.
Yeah, I
All
agree.
We're animals.
I agree,
Okay.
because I think if talking about Teo's idea that the population's dropping and it's all going to go horribly wrong because there's not going to be enough babies around. I think if as a society, if in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, it became obvious that we're running out of kids, I think people would just start thinking, I'll have a few more kids. I think they would.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
the
a
government can
self-preservation
improve
thing.
on that. They can make, they can incentivize it. Because if the same as what happened in China at one point when they had the two baby rule,
Yes.
Yeah.
they said if you have more than two babies, you lose all your benefits. Your kids can't go. So that stopped. Now China are trying to reverse that because their population numbers
Another
are
Yes.
one you
now
said trying.
1.4. So they're not reproducing either.
No, they're
So,
not.
but the point is that you can incentivize it in a real way. You can give people extra money. Look, if you have 4 or 5 kids, guess what? You get free education for your kids. You get this benefit. You get that benefit. I'm pretty sure that if
Guess
they were
who's
to put
doing it?
those sorts of incentives in place, there would be more people having kids.
Guess who's doing it?
Russia.
Guess who's doing? Yes, Russia.
Yeah.
Answer me this. Riddle me this. Is it being successful?
I don't know.
No,
It hasn't. No,
no,
I'm
it
aware of
hasn't.
this. They have tried it,
Because
but the benefits weren't that great though.
well, the
Let's be
benefits are
perfectly
pretty good now. I mean, the
they
first
weren't
three
that
or four.
great. If you look at it, you went, you sort of take it or leave it. Like, yeah, all right, maybe. It weren't that great. It's not like, ooh, we can
It's great
benefit
now,
from
is what I'm
this.
telling you.
I
And
also have a problem with this whole idea, and it comes back to previous comment about is it Dawn is about the mum not being a great mum, not being a loving, kind, thoughtful mother. I think it's really important. I can't help it. It's much more important that a child is born into a loving relationship than a child is born because we're running out of kids.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
agreed.
I really find that idea fairly
But
horrific.
I will clarify for anyone listening. My mum loved me. She wasn't an awful mother. She didn't beat us, but her
Yes.
career was more important. She
Yes.
was not there to nurture us.
No, but then equally, I mean, I've my previous employment, I went to lots of families where mum and dad were there all the time, and it was an awful situation because there was no love. You can have fantastic loving family with a parent being distant. I mean, look at people that work on oil rigs and armies when mums or dads are gone for
Away.
months at a time, years at a time. You can see, but it's really important that the child is brought in knowing it's a child, a loved child, a wanted child, and it's nurtured and looked after, and it's allowed to grow. And guess what? If it's a girl, go to school and be educated. Boom, boom. That's for me much more important in society than just
Yeah.
popping kiddies out because we're running out of kids.
Yeah,
okay,
And,
agreed.
and can I
so
add to that? I work with people, and I've had quite a few of these boys and girls that come from families where they've been abused, physically and sexually abused, boys and girls.
Mm.
So, what kind of family have they been born into?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and yeah, they come to see me because of the results of they've suppressed that all their lives. This just suddenly comes out. Some of them are highly, highly successful people.
Mm.
well, to address Tony's misinformation, because I need to. Russia employs a multi-layered strategy of financial incentives. Maternity capital program is called, providing approximately 630,000 rubles. I think it's like
That's
7 to 1.
that's not a lot.
Well, it's
Three
What
better
is
than,
it?
I think it's $7, is it? $7, $8 to 1.
God, is that all?
Yeah, it's nonsense.
630,000 rubles. Anyway, I'll come back and tell you how much it is in real money, if you like. But due to regional shortages, local authorities have introduced targeted bonuses, such as 1 million rubles per child in Nizhny Novgorod. Can't pronounce that. Nizhny Novgorod, and 100,000 rubles. Do you like this? You guys would like this. For female students under 25 in Karelia. So they're trying to do something about it, but obviously trying to get women into education is the problem, because when women are in education, higher education, I'm saying now, when they're in higher education in that 18 to 30 age, then they are not having children. So actually they're shooting themselves in the foot by doing that. And somebody asked me earlier, why aren't men required to have children for university? Because biology creates constraints and trade-offs. Ignoring them doesn't make them disappear. You can look the other way You can look the other way when a car is careening towards you. Guess what? That's not going to help. Facts are facts, and that's the long and tall of it. I'm not restricting education. I am sequencing it to match reality. That's my point. I'm sequencing it to match biological reality.
But
I'm not going to deny anyone.
But so you
education.
said, but you're saying that. So you're saying, okay, let's just park it. So between the age of 18 to 30, women shouldn't have education because
Higher education.
higher education. Okay, higher education. So your expectation that these 18 to 30-year-old women, is your expectation that they will then turn their mind into having babies?
Yes. That
Well,
they will. That they.
that's wrong.
Well, I don't know that because I'm not seeing anyone on the planet who's following this model. But I believe that I'm right because
No,
if they're not being
Just look,
they're not
what
being
if they don't want to
distracted,
have a baby? What if they don't want to have babies?
then they work and they build up their lives and they get ready for uni at the age of 30, and then they've got a nice little pot and they probably don't need a student loan or anything, and then it all works out very nicely for them actually.
But
If
what
that's
if
what
they?
they
Just be
really want.
easier?
Why
Wouldn't it
couldn't
just
they just
be?
go to uni at 18 instead?
Because
Yeah.
that is
Would-
when they should be meeting a nice, what we used to call in the good old days, a nice boy, and settling down.
What if they're a lesbian?
Then that's when they should be meeting a nice girl and planning on how to build up their resources and avail themselves of a sperm bank or whatever it is
Oh
they
my
want to use.
God.
Well, I mean, what
look.
should lesbians do? I mean, it's a
No,
serious question. I
right.
mean, I don't know. I mean,
So
Why
do
don't-
homosexuals.
sorry?
So do homosexuals do the same thing. You were
Look.
talking about going back to the good
I'm not
old
in that
days
crowd, so I
when
wouldn't know.
lesbians couldn't be lesbians and homosexuals could. You know, they being gay was in the DSM until it changed in 19. It came out of the DSM,
What's
the
the
DSM, Dawn?
the directory for the mental health, all the labels for the mental health,
Hmm.
all the descriptions, and it was in the DSM up until 1976 as a disease or a mental. It was a mental thing,
Illness. Yeah.
mental illness. Thank you, Carol. Yeah.
Isn't this a straw man? Because I never mentioned anything about supporting or not supporting LGBTQ. I didn't. I don't know that they use homosexuals. I don't. That's not my crowd. So how would I know? I gave what I thought.
But you
was
said
reasonable.
going back to the old days when you would meet a nice boy. That's
I was
how
looking
you
for the term.
started,
I was looking for
and
the- I was looking
then
for the term,
you
terminology.
retracted that and went into like a more
No. I was
woke
looking for
of
the term.
today.
What did we used to call them? I said back in the old days we used to call them a nice boy, but I don't know what we call them nowadays. I was so looking for the term.
I'm sure there's plenty of women way back in the day that didn't meet nice boys that thought they were at the time.
Well, that's kind of a different argument. I'm saying give it a chance, but now there's no chance. Now they go off to university and modern feminism
Still,
says
they
you
can
just,
still meet people there and still.
it's a different crowd. Uni is a different crowd. You know what
Okay.
you mean at uni. You have your
Wouldn't it be better? Wouldn't it be better rather than? Wouldn't it be better rather than sort of denying women the opportunity to go to university? Wouldn't it be better where there was an incentive that if people had 2 or 3 children, they would get tax breaks or something. So it didn't matter when they have the kids. They can still go to education. They can still do what they want. But if they have 3 or more children, they will get some benefit from it. So it doesn't have to be
Who's paying for
between
all these
18
blooming
and
benefits?
30, as long as they have 3.
Who's paying for all these benefits?
Well,
Now,
you're hold
the whole
on.
idea of having women sort of at home from 18 to 30, like we've already touched on, is that we lower the number of people competing for jobs initially, competing for certain jobs initially, and then eventually men get better able to raise a family like they used to do back in the 50s and 40s, 50s and
Oh my
60s.
goodness.
But
That's
we
what
can't
they
afford to
do.
do that, though.
Yes,
It's
we
not
can.
going to be miraculously the houses are going to come down in price because of this.
Well,
So
let's
how
get
are
real.
people
But
going to survive?
I'm not,
even in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, people couldn't afford to run their families. And don't forget, a good family lived in a 2 up, 2 down. 2 up, 2 down. Who lives? I mean, I live in a 2 up, 2 down, but there are only 2 of us living here. I don't have 13 children living here.
Nobody's
Well,
asking for
I'm
13.
not telling you.
Well, you
if I
should
do
have.
Yeah, I should have.
No one is saying you should have 13 children. I've actually said
But
2 children, and then you go to
yeah, but
uni. So
when
I actually
you're
stated
talking
it.
about a time when men went to work and women stayed at home and looked after their children. For one, all they did was churn out children, and the older ones had to look after the younger ones, and they still couldn't afford the food. They had to live on absolute basics. We have such a better standard of living now.
I guess
Even those that don't think they have a good standard of living have a better standard of living than people did way back in the 50s and 60s.
I think
I
a
think
lot
with
of
two
this
children it's
argument
fine.
is a bit off cock. I mean, I was a fairly high-powered individual in my job, and I had 3 kids, and I had to use childminders, I had to use nurseries, like many other women who decided to go for a career where there was a big demand on them. And I worked 12-hour shifts, I worked nights, I worked days, I worked hard. And I brought up 3 lovely kids, and two of them have had 2 kids. So I'm doing the whole let's populate the world thing,
Well done.
brilliant. And I'm an educated woman, and I had my kids between the ages of 27 and 34 in that time, exactly when you wanted me to. Thank goodness I fulfilled that bit of it. But I still had a good education. I still had a good education, and I earned a lot of money, and it worked brilliantly.
Mm.
And I do get this whole point that the population's dropping a bit, but I think we've got to be so careful on what we do, how we decide to do this as a society. I think it'd be awful if we start deciding that there should be different rules for females that want to produce in our society and female and men for one, and also that having babies should be something you get paid for.
Functional.
Horrible.
So you obviously, I would say you were an exception, and an exception does not prove the rule, not by any means. So well done you, but we can't go
Wasn't an
along with
exception.
your
Thank you, but I wasn't.
Okay. Right.
we can't go with your unique
Right.
experience, unfortunately.
I'm gonna have to interrupt here because we've got to the top of the hour, so we're gonna need a sum up very quickly. So the question: is educating women a good thing? I'll ask our guests first. Dawn, very quickly, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want a rationale or just a yes?
Rationale,
If it's
please.
quick, very quick rationale.
Well, I just think if women stopped paying into the system, paying their taxes because of what they earn through their jobs because they've been educated or not so badly good, so well educated, then we're going to have less taxes to do all the things that we want to do in this country.
Okay. Carol, same. What's your view?
My view is yes, educating women is obviously a good idea, as it should be just the same as for men. And I didn't know at the beginning of the show that the option was either go to uni or, in fact, no, stay at home and have babies. I'm like, whoa, no. So education, of course, for women is totally a good idea.
Okay. Tayo, final word from you before we wrap up.
It was always the women, and above all the young ones, who were the most bigoted adherents of the party, the swallowers of slogans, the amateur spies, and the noses out of unorthodoxy. George Orwell, 1984. He wrote that in 1949, and we still haven't gotten over it. Some education, with caveats, Education is good for women, but the caveats are all important.
Right. First, before I sum up and say goodbye, I want to say thank you to our guests,
Absolutely.
Dawn and Carol. Have you enjoyed being on the show despite Tayo's weird arguments?
I think it actually enhanced the experience, quite frankly.
Okay.
Well
Very
done.
good.
Thank you, Carol.
And Dawn?
There we are.
Well, I kept asking you to have me on your show, and it's been a pleasure, and it's been great having Teo to battle with. Teo or Tao?
Tayo.
Tayo.
Teo.
Tayo.
Teo. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. And it's
Brilliant.
been lovely meeting Carol.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice to meet you too.
It's been great having you on. And but unfortunately, we have got to the end of the show. So, our wonderful audience, if you've loved this episode, please hit subscribe and stay tuned for more deep dives into prophecies, mysteries, and the unexplained twists of fate. You've listened to Tony and Tayo, and we are the TNT Talk Show. But unfortunately, we have reached the end of the show for another week.